In London's inner city, a psychiatric team is trying to treat patients in the community. Over the past 12 months, the team and patients have allowed unique access to the normally closed world of psychiatric care. This is the story of Daryl and Louisa. As beds are cut in psychiatric hospitals all around the country, hard decisions have to be made about who stays and who is sent back into the community. For Daryl Thompson, the outside world is a frightening place.
God talks to me through planes, the sounds of planes. Oh, Daryl, you're such a lucky boy. The plane will go by. You know, this all sounds very comical, and yet this is what's actually happening. I can hear planes talking to me. God's voice. What I'm getting, I don't like. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know the origin of it or what. And I want someone to help me.
Okay. I'm going to write you up for the lithium and some chlorpromazine regularly.
Daryl suffers from manic depression. Since his latest breakdown, his life has fallen apart, and he's found refuge in Springfield Psychiatric Hospital.
Any questions at the moment? Anything you wanted to ask?
No, I mean, I'll just go from here to there, from here to there.
But 2 years ago, his life was very different. Despite his illness, he held down a responsible job and lived a happy family life with his wife and 2 children. Now his illness has taken its toll. He's lost his job and his wife has divorced him. It's affected the whole family.
I don't think anybody realised, because I didn't realise. And the main thing, Dad didn't realise that he was ill. You just feel helpless, really. I never know what to say or what to do when times are bad. I don't feel it's my duty. I feel I want to see him because, you know, he's here. And you only get one dad, and I think he's priceless, really. He spoils me rotten. So I'll always be here as much as I can, you know, because you can't sort of tear your life apart. You just sort of give every bit you can, really.
Psychiatrist Dr. Francis Raphael has decided it will be better for Daryl to leave the hospital. But with 1 in 10 psychiatric patients killing themselves, it's always a worrying decision. And Daryl isn't keen to leave.
This is a good place to get lost, you know. You don't have to worry about yourself, you know. You don't think about who you are and what your role in life is and things like that. You just sort of blend, you know. It's a reprieve from society, a place like this. You know, there's no respite, you know, people that suffer. There's no respite out there for them.
For Louisa Johnson, this is to be her first day in a psychiatric hospital. While Daryl is sent out, Louisa is being forced in. 30 years ago, she came over from Jamaica as a young bride. Now she lives alone, and for several years she's been drinking heavily. As a result, she's become confused and forgetful.
Come, Fifi, come. Come. Come, babe.
As she gets more demented, the mental health team fear for her safety. Against her will, she's being brought into Springfield Hospital.
Springfield has gone to what I heard. Springfield is for somebody that nutty. And I don't feel that I'm really nutty.
Will Louisa Johnson ever see freedom again? Can Daryl Thompson survive it? Now at home, he's visited regularly by Dr. Francis Raphael to check how he's coping.
It's not such a clear-cut decision as whether being ill means you should be in hospital or being well means you should be at home, because he can be ill at home with more support. It's more a question of degree and safety and confidence in the resources around him to try and support him.
I'm getting signals, you know, all over. There's pressure on the temples. There's sensations going on,
In the past, that's kind of spread on a bit further and you've had some strange ideas about things.
Paranoia.
Can you describe that at all?
Well, you've been watched all the time. Comments are made directed towards you from strangers in the park.
What kind of things do they say?
Hang him. He's no good. His old man should hang him.
That's no good, is it?
I'll give you a clue. I was sweating and I went like this. And I said to my daughter, that's alcohol. Who says there's no such thing as perpetual motion?
Right. I don't quite follow that, actually.
No,
Does it make
okay. I don't want to go too deep into it.
You don't want to go too deep into it. Okay. I know your daughter's here and we hadn't planned to speak to her. Would it be okay to speak to her? Okay. Let me see, it doesn't matter. I mean, I didn't know you were going to be here and I hadn't planned to speak to you, but as you're here, it would be nice to have a word, especially as I'm quite worried about your dad at the moment. I don't know how you find him.
I didn't really visit him in hospital. I didn't like going there. But
Very sensitive, like me.
since he's been here, you know, I've been quite willing to come and see him and everything. And
I saw it the first time in her eyes when she came to visit me in hospital and I was on Sunflower. And I could tell then she didn't like it.
I feel very uncomfortable there. I don't like it.
But I noticed that you got very upset just at saying that.
Yeah.
What were you getting?
Link is a link. She's me, she's my daughter. And the son is his mother's son.
Do you worry about Zoe?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I'm quite worried about you at the moment. There are some paranoid thoughts there. It's kind of pretty unsettled. We'll have to agree to disagree on whether those things are real or not. I think
It's a whole hallucination. What a lovely hallucination it is. You know, it seems to match me.
It seems quite complicated, but I think it's just that things are a bit unsettled at the moment. They will settle down soon. The medication will help. I think also finding some activities during the day will also help. It is much harder for him to pick up a normal life than it is for him to stay as a patient to someone who can't cope. My belief in him is that he can cope, but he doesn't share that.
Daryl will stay at home, trying to cope with his loneliness, mood swings, and psychotic attacks when he hears voices, has delusions, and sees hallucinations.
That's Michael. Who's that? I don't know. Daryl. Rich is very worried. Don't ever talk to me again, Richard. I'm very...
Back at Springfield Hospital, Louisa Johnson is now a compulsory patient. She will be subject to a battery of tests while the team try to assess her mental state. The results will determine whether she can go back home or not.
No rest for the wicked. Terrible, you never get halfway through that game ever without being interrupted. Now, I'll ask you the same one question I always ask you. Do you know which day of the week it is today?
Today? I sleep up now, on Wednesday.
Right.
Is
That's
it
right.
Wednesday?
I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, what's the date?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Do you know which month we're in?
No, I don't certain.
Well, it's actually June now.
June.
Yeah. We're getting to nice weather. Okay, and what, can you tell me which year we're in now?
1960. No, I sleep up with that.
Have a guess. 1960 something, you said.
67.
Right, so think again. Get as near as you can.
I know.
Sorry?
I know.
What do you think?
No, I don't know. It's hard to explain to you, really. But it come like when you go to prison and then throw away the key. And that means you have to stay because the door can never open. That's what it come to me. It's very sad. I want to go home. I want to come out. I want to come out.
You're from Jamaica, are you?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you recall about any nice songs from Jamaica?
Not now. Not now.
What about Day Daylight?
Yeah, daylight, I want to go home. That's why I want to go home now.
You want to go home now?
Yeah, because there's lighting for me to go back home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This is something about Mr. Taliman.
Tell me banana.
Try and sing a bit of this. Let's see if you can remember the words.
Hmm?
Sing Day Daylight for me.
Daylight, I me want to go home. Come, Mr. Taliman, tell me banana. Daylight, I me want go home. 6 and 7 and 8 and 1. Daylight, I me want go home.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Anything else, you know?
Come, Mr. Taliman, tell me banana.
For Darrell Thompson, hospital is the only place he feels safe. He's been visiting the ward every day, coming up for meals, activity and company, even though he's not officially a patient. But the team are worried that his continued reliance on the hospital is actually preventing his recovery. So they're now trying to find other things for him to do with his days. Rachel Langley, the occupational therapist on the team, is going to help.
He currently really has not a lot to get up for in the morning. He's focused a lot on the hospital, and so it means that continually he's mixing on the ward with people who are potentially quite ill, and I don't actually see that as particularly helpful to him when he's actually trying to recover from an illness.
When you're on your own, you tend to just do minimal, you know, everything's minimal, just make tea and, you know, and I still have this aversion to eating in the house.
Yes.
You know, by myself, you know, the actual task of cooking for one and then sitting down and eating just by myself. You know, I just can't stomach the idea. So it's a lonely life, you know, it's an isolated life.
Yes, and I think that's why it's important now that we try and reduce that isolation, get you more involved with activities, with a bit more structure to your day, because that's really been very lacking, hasn't it, in the last... One of the things we did talk about briefly was the Friday Club. And it's really, I mean, it's a drop-in, but it's there for support. One of the things they're actually planning to do this Friday is to go to Hastings for the day. They've actually got a trip planned. I was just thinking that might be one way of getting involved in the group and getting to know some of the people that come.
I don't know, not really one for trips, you know. No, I think I'll pass on that one.
Right, okay.
I think we are a bit stretched at the moment, and I would prefer to have more support and more resources to keep him going at home. I'd like to have more people to engage him with, more, you know, to get him going to groups. But the other part of that is that he's resisting it. So even if we have more resources, he's struggling and saying, I can't do it, and he's backing out.
And you're not going to drop me into an environment where there's people that don't bloody know what, you know, how I tick, you know what I'm saying? No, exchange with anybody, you know, interacting with anybody. Jesus Christ. It's on the, you know, I get more of that on the ward. I'm more comfortable on the ward.
Right.
It's all cliquey everywhere else. I'm not having it, you know, I'm not having it. That's too much for me. I'm not having it. Not having it.
Come in for a chat.
A few weeks later, Daryl stormed up to the ward asking to be admitted to hospital.
Out. Out!
I think you're very angry and sort of want to come into hospital, but I don't know why.
Yes, am I angry? You haven't seen anger.
Right. So are you going to go home now? What plans have you got for this evening?
You know, it's just a job to you, isn't it? Bloody life and death to me.
No, I'm trying to find out what plans you've made, what you want to do.
It's a bloody job to you, isn't it?
Daryl, if you're going to insult me, I'll stop this conversation, because you cannot insult me and just expect me to keep sitting here.
I'll take what
Okay.
you just said to the Queen.
Fine. You don't have any right to just insult me. Daryl Thompson is in a foul mood. He does not need to be admitted today. He's very aroused, very angry, and I'm not quite sure what's happened. But I think he has some say in his anger. I felt it was easier to leave things be and try again in a calmer setting.
I really upset Raphael. I did upset her, yes. Why are other people, you know, so easy for them to get in and not so easy for me? You know, I seem to be singled out. All they do is suggest tablets, they zonk you out, stop that whirlpool of ideas going, and hope for the best. They can't seem to do any more for you, can't seem to talk it out with you.
Louisa Johnson is still desperate to go home. Already confused and disoriented, she finds life on the ward disturbing and unsettling. Yet it's in this chaotic atmosphere she has to demonstrate the clear thinking that is her key to freedom. Now it's time for her to meet Professor Tom Burns, who runs the mental health team.
I'm Dr. Burns, I'm the consultant on the firm.
Yeah,
And we've been hearing about how things have been.
yeah.
How do you think things are at the moment?
Well, I want to go.
You want to go home?
Yeah.
Is your memory a bit better now?
Yeah, I would like to go home back now.
Let me just ask you a couple. Do you know what day it is today?
No, I sleep up.
Have a guess.
Wednesday?
No, it's a Monday, but it's difficult in hospital to know the day. But what month is it?
Me?
Well, it's just turned July. And can you give me the year?
74.
Sorry?
74.
74, well, it's 94. It's just
94,
well
I mean,
one wrong.
sorry.
You see, we are worried, because I think your memory has been troubling you more than you remember. Clearly you do want to go home, but the question is whether you are able to look after yourself at the moment.
Yeah.
She's been
I
pretty
mean, I think
busy.
she's fairly knocked off, to be honest. I don't think she's going to survive. I mean, I think if we send her home, we're going to find her fallen downstairs or something dreadful.
Well, I mean, I think that's my feeling, really.
My guess is if she's still like this in 2 weeks' time, she's heading to, will have to be some sort of...
Shelter.
No, residential.
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 Yeah.
It looks as though Louisa will never go home. Since his row with Dr. Raphael, Daryl Thompson has not been seen in the hospital. And when he's late for an appointment with her, she fears the worst.
Hello, Daryl. It's Francis Raphael. Hello. How are you? Right. Do you remember that we had an appointment to meet today? Because it's kind of a quarter of an hour since you were due here. You can't make it. Why is that, do you think? God's after you. What's making you think that? Do you want to go and hang yourself? You're frightened. I can understand that. It's a horrible thought. Hmm? Okay. Have you taken any pills this morning, Daryl? Because your speech isn't all that clear. I mean, how many tablets have you taken this morning? 5. How many tablets is that? Have you taken 10? Right, that's an awful lot that you've taken. Okay. I think I better come round and visit you a bit later on. Okay? Are you going to be in today? I've got other people to see as well, so I can't exactly say what time it will be, but I'll pop in and see you this afternoon. Okay? Bye-bye. Right. How are you? Daryl, what's going on at the moment?
No.
Daryl, it's very difficult for me to try and help you without having a little help from you as well. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about the way things are going. But I think you're struggling to keep your life going. But I don't think that going into hospital helps you very much at the moment. When you're very ill, I think it does, but I don't think it's helping you at the moment. And I think I know we've disagreed in the past, but I think having things to do during the day, a structure to your day, you know, a reason to get up, is more important than being in hospital. Which is why I suggest things like going to the Garfield group and the Friday Club and things like that, because I know they're not what you want to do in the long run, but they help by giving you contact with other people and getting you going again. Would you consider trying them again?
No.
No. How much chlorpromazine have you got left here?
I don't know.
Well, perhaps we should try and sort it out together. Because I don't think you should be taking 10 of them at a time.
No.
Do you think we can come to a compromise?
Don't know.
What I think you should do is I think you should take 3 of them.
Yeah.
3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're getting roughly the same amount, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's safe to take 10 of them all at
No.
once. Is there anything else you wanted to tell me about?
No.
Anything? No, okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll get Rachel to come and see you again
Yeah,
next week.
okay, fine, lovely.
All right?
Lovely too.
Okay, good. I'll let myself out. See you, Daryl.
Oh.
It's very difficult. A large amount of what you saw was the effects of 500 milligrams of chlorpromazine. Although he's very bleak and negative, on balance, I don't think he's going to harm himself at the moment. I think it's an ongoing risk. I think the way he responded to what I said shows that he knows that my main tack is towards structure and getting him to do things during the day, and he doesn't like it. And it's very hard to come in and say, this is what you ought to be doing with your life. But I don't think repeated admission to hospital is constructive for him at the moment.
It's quite draining though, isn't it?
Yep.
Against all the odds, a solution has been found for Louisa. At the last moment, she improved just enough to allow her to go home, as long as she has intensive support. The team have organised home help for her to come in 3 times a day, and the team's social worker will be visiting her at home regularly.
Oh, mommy, come back.
Yeah, well, you were determined to come back, weren't you, Louisa?
Nowhere like home.
Nowhere like home. I agree. You've got your own private space.
Yeah, nowhere like the little home. I'm feeling good.
Six months after Daryl was discharged from hospital, Dr. Raphael is feeling more optimistic.
It comes and goes, but it seems that Daryl is slowly starting to improve.
Not a 9.
I think what's helped him sustain the progress that he started to make is that he's got a consistent approach from Rachel and from me, one that says he can cope, one that says he can live an ordinary life, mix with friends, do things during the day, and not be chaotic. And an approach that says he's not ill and doesn't need to go into hospital every time he feels upset.
But for Daryl, it's been a long uphill struggle, and the future is far from certain.
No, I felt like cutting my throat. I think going to hell with it. But there's a self-preservation. There's something that sort of in the back of your head says, no, you ain't doing it to me. No matter what you have to go through, you ain't doing that. Bar holding my hand, I just don't know what else I could do. This is life. This is reality. What else can they do, you know? I look upon hospital as a hospital now, not a home from home anymore. I mean, I'm just sort of like just by myself, I suppose, now. Just by myself.